What's up, guys? So, oh my gosh, please forgive me because I'm still working on matching speaking versus my thoughts. It's really complicated for me. I have so many different thoughts. It's easier to express through writing for me, but I know I need to step more into speaking. So, and I didn't like the beard. I decided to try it out, and I was just like, "Fuck you." Well, especially after what. So I people call it a relapse, but I chose to get high yesterday, um, and it directly involved someone reaching out to me that I had set a boundary with. He had got a different number. I had blocked him. He got a different number. He didn't say his name. He just said some information. It was just like, who the fuck is this? And I was just like, that's fucking. That's this person. So I said, "Hey, what's up, so and so?" And it's like, I hope you're doing well. How you living? How you been? He's he's a very manipulative person. He has like four different phone numbers, and he won't say his name. He doesn't like. I don't think he. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is it's backwards as fuck. If you have these different phone numbers and you keep going through them, when you go to text someone, I can see how it could be easy to forget that you haven't told this person that these new phone numbers, because why the fuck would you have so many phone numbers? That's just fucking beyond me. Like, that would drive me wild. I can maybe do two. One for my personal and appointments, and one for my like maybe my professional life. But so he's under heavy attack right now. He has been for a while, and he's in chaotic energy, and he needed help with the situation. I said I would do it. I felt called to do it because I told God, I told myself, I was like, if for whatever reason we bump into each other again, you know, and and I feel like it would be okay to reintroduce my energy back into. Well, I was wrong. He said a lot of good information. He repeated information I had told him previous when we were friends still. And I was like, oh shit, he actually fucking listened. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll help him out. Well, his mask fell about halfway through because he started spinning an old narrative again, and I called him out on his bullshit as a friend, as an honest friend, not as a dick. You just be like, hey, dude, it is my obligation if I call you my friend to tell you the truth, you know? So, he has a lot of unresolved pride issues. He doesn't he doesn't like being told instructions. He wants to claim that he's knowledgeable and wise, but as soon as someone tells him something, he always says, "Well, that's just how it appears to you," and I'm just like, dude, you gotta. And he monologues. Villain's monologue, right? He monologues. I'm like, dude, you don't give people a chance to express themselves or to engage in the interaction with you. That makes people feel trapped. And it's like, and it makes people want to disengage. And then especially if you're just staying in that energy for hours, nobody wants to be around that kind of chaotic energy for that long, when we have got our own internal fucking battles that we're dealing with. And so I did. I broke all that stuff down to him, and well, what ended up happening is the course of the day that I spent with him, my lower back started hurting. I'm taking better care of myself. My diet's changed. I work out now, and my back started hurting. Well, the base of my spine. What does that tell me? That's my safety. That's where I'm supposed to be rooted. And it started hurting, and I was like, okay, so by him repressing my expression, by not letting me express through his overexpression, it was causing interference with my energetic centers right here. And then because I decided to get high and go back to something that's not healthy for me, and that and I engaged in some lower sacral energy, I compounded it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to really break it down. I couldn't put all the fault on him, but I wasn't gonna sit there and let him fucking spew information to me like I'm some fucking kind of sponge that I'm just gonna soak it up. It's like I know what I know, and it's like, and it's not opinion, it's truth. He wanted to call it fact, and I was like, fuck that, fuck fact or opinion. It's just truth I'm speaking to you right now, and I'm speaking to it as humbly as I can. And he kept getting more aggressive and more aggressive, more aggressive, and he goes, but God didn't. God, he always brings God into it, but he brings God into it in this like fire, hell, and brimstone kind of way. And he goes, but God would have told me if that were true. And I was like, motherfucker, I am God. And I was trying to explain to him, I was like, God is both in us and all around us. He's omnipresent, you know? But it's a lot easier to look outside of ourselves rather than look inside of ourselves for answers. Like, for example, and this is the main reason I came on here, is because I was looking at my sidereal birth chart and I was looking at my Western birth chart, and I was trying to figure out my moon phase, because in the Western astrology it tells me what my moon phase is in. But in my sidereal chart, through masteringthezodiac.com, it doesn't tell me, and I had to do it all manually. I was trying to ask questions on Google to see if I could get a direct answer. I was like, I guess I'm gonna have to figure this shit out myself. So the conclusion I ended up coming up with was, so I more resonate with my Scorpio sun in the sidereal. And just versus reading the information, you know, and then I was like, dang, I really know myself more than I really did think I know myself. And I was like, trauma does that. Pain does that. When people inflict some, you know, when outside, it takes a toll after a while. When you get rejected, anything you have to contribute is just fucking slighted or discarded. It like makes you question yourself, you know, in a deep way that you don't question yourself, you just shut down, you know. So I was like, okay, so on my Libra moon more so than my Virgo moon, my Libra moon being in the Western astrology. So, but when it came to my rising, I've operated in a good majority of my life in an ebb state, meaning my energy was withdrawn from my surroundings and from the people around me because of the trauma I've been through, you know. But literally, that was my soul guiding me, so that after all that time being in that ebb state, I can move into my flow state, which is my Aries rising, which is in my Western astrology. So I'm both. I fluctuate back and forth, just like the moon does, just like every one of us does, ebb and flow. But the profound master key that came over me was, if you want to flow, you gotta ebb. If you want to flow, you don't go, oh, I'm just gonna go flow. No, there's a natural order to everything. So I was just like, how did I not know this the whole time? Because as I'm knowing this, it just makes sense. Like, it's common sense, but it's not common because, well, obviously, for the reasons why. So I was just kind of like, so that's why knowing yourself is so important. If you don't know yourself, because you can know yourself and then take the information from the outside that comes in and then just scrub it against what you know to be true, you know? And that's how we can come up, like the Western astrology, the different sites and the people who conduct, you know, who put those together, they're different from, nothing's universal, you know? And I was getting frustrated. I was like, man, this is such a disservice to humanity. But then I chose to look at it a different way. And I was like, you know what? If anything, what it does is it's a blatant challenge to everyone that exists if they're looking into that kind of information, to do you actually believe everything that you hear, or do you question things for yourself? And the importance of it is so that you don't become programmed like everyone else. I was like, man, I've been through so much pain in my life. I was like, if you were to put me and my family in the same room, you wouldn't even know that we were blood. We operate so differently. We look so differently. There's some key features that give it away, but how we operate, well, I don't fuck with my family. I can't. It's toxic. I can't. It's draining. They're energy vampires, and I became an energy vampire for a good majority of my life, because I shut down, and I didn't really know myself. It wasn't only until after I decided like I was really gonna kill myself, like I was on the mission, I was doing it, and I was in the midst of doing it, and higher self or God, whatever you want to call it, revealed himself to me. I thought I was going crazy. This is 4 or 5 years ago. So, but I'm sorry if I bounce everywhere. It's just the way my mind works. That's why I like writing most of the time, because I can communicate more coherently. I can be more kind of linear. Some people with linear minds can understand it. And I was like, I get so frustrated because my whole life, it's just like nobody has ever understood me. And I know, like, that might sound like distorted perception, like, because it's absolute terms, but it's literally what has happened to me my whole life. But I was thinking about it. I was like, my family, my ancestors went through the same thing because it gets passed down. I was like, when it got to me, and I was like, why, God? Why did you make me like this? Oh man, why does there have to be so much struggle? It's like, and it got to the point where I just kind of gave up on love. I gave up on being understood or heard, and I retreated. And I kind of gave up. I gave up hope in humanity. I gave up, like, I died, in a way. And not the natural deaths that happen in our lives as we grow, but a deeper soul death was happening. And God said, fuck no. No. And it has been a difficult process. And so anytime it's hard for me sometimes, because anything that I intuitively know, and it gets questioned by the energies outside of myself, it is frustrating. It makes me want to scream a lot of the time. It makes me want to be violent, because I don't want to give up anymore. I want to live. I want to love. I want community. I want healthy connections. I want to know the goodness. I want to know goodness, And there's a lot of goodness in me, but there's a lot of darkness in me too. But I accept them. I won't speak on a lot of them because it would just draw unnecessary attack, because people, it don't matter if I'm speaking truth or just trying, or not speaking at all. People always misunderstand me. I was just like, there was one person recently within this last few months that I recognized their soul. I recognized me, in them, and it scared me. And then I tried to engage physically with this person, and what I didn't realize at the time was they're a busy person. They have a lot going on. And that was at first, I started to take it personal. It hurt my feelings. It felt like they were trying to deceive me. But in all reality, what was happening was I was interacting with my own energy and going in circles with it, because I was expecting a response from that person, because I was just so solid in my feeling and knowing that I was supposed to be working with this person, and they wouldn't give me the time of day, and it really hurt me. But it caused me to grow. It caused the growth that I didn't expect. And I found out that I'm a lot stronger than I am. And you know who you are. And I just want to say I am so sorry. It was not my intent to hurt you, but I did, energetically. And I understand that I have a lot more healing to do, because you can't expect to find compatibility in this world if you don't know yourself. And yes, while one person can be low and the other person can be high, and there's that balance, there has to be that energetic and spiritual compatibility that yoked the same, you know? Otherwise, it just causes unnecessary suffering. And so, I pay a lot of attention to my instincts and my intuition now. So, when I started realizing the energetic exchanges that were happening, I was just like, oh shit, I need to take this seriously, you know? I was just like, and it caused me to want to just go into my flow state and act. And I was like, okay, now's the time. Okay, this is the cue, because I was kind of waiting for a sign. I was like, what do I do next, you know? And I think that was a little distorted in a way, because I was asking questions because I didn't know. I hadn't learned that information for myself to apply it to myself. So I'm very hard on myself when I hurt people, intentionally or unintentionally. A lot of you guys never see it, because I don't feel the need to go around apologizing all the time, because I feel that it takes away from the meaning of you actually being remorseful. The more I hear sorry, the more I hear manipulation. But if I see their actions, and their actions reflect that they're not behaving in the same way, then they were truly sorry that they behaved that way, and they chose to change their behavior. So I had to apply that to myself, and I was just like, because I won't lie, I'm very scared of where I'm going. I know I'm going higher. I don't want to hurt people, but it's not something I can control, you know? I can control how I approach it. How they perceive it is different. Like, if I go out to be malicious, then yeah, that's on me, of course. But it's just, I'm so scared of messing it up. I've done a lot of damage to people in my life. I'm a very highly intellectual and intuitional person, and when I'm in my energy and I'm not healed from something, it becomes very toxic, because I would use my gifts to retaliate. I have a warring mind. As much as I can be peaceful, when I enter my war state, it's not, I can take it too far. And I tell myself, you know, it's like, as much as we, I guess, we're souls, we're spirits, this, that, and the other, but I'm not the only person in pain, you know? And it's not fair, it's selfish for me to behave in that way any longer. Of course, stand up for yourself, this, that, and the other, and I'm trying to learn how to do that in healthy ways. But, so it was really cool. So I looked up the, I went ahead and did a chart reading for, it was really funny. So remember the information I just told you about the what was it? Pisces and, oh crap, I guess I did misinterpret that. So I guess it's not as significant. But some of this information that came up, it said, okay, so in sidereal, it would be in ascendant Sagittarius, Sun Virgo, Moon Scorpio. So it would have been Sun Virgo, 10th house, Moon Scorpio, 12th house, Mercury Virgo, 10th house, Venus Libra, 11th house, Mars Gemini 7, Jupiter Taurus 6, Saturn Aquarius 3, Uranus Taurus 5, Neptune Pisces 3rd. Ooh, that's a powerful. Pluto Sagittarius 2nd, Chiron Pisces 4th, North Node Pisces 4th, South Node Virgo 10th, and the Midheaven is Virgo 10th as well. That is quite a complicated energy, but I applied that to, and I scrubbed that against the information of combining both my Western and Sidereal to intuitively to come up with a system that's it's complex. It's hard for me to put this in an understandable and neat way sometimes, even for myself. But I think I'm doing a fairly good job at it. But it's highly unconventional. Everything I do is highly unconventional. You meet me, anyone who's ever met me in my life, they're like, you're a radical, aren't you? And I was like, you better fucking believe it. I do not conform. But it's caused me to not know when to let something go or give up, because I've been pushed at so many times in my life to the point where I shut down, and now that I'm being elevated into a more higher vibrancy and frequency, that those unhealed aspects of myself are affected by it. And if I entertain them, it's going to be a little more destructive than last time, because I'm in a higher energy state, and that would explain the fear that I have of doing unnecessary damage to souls, you know? It would be unbecoming of a great leader, a good leader, an example, what do you call that? Role model, which is in my human design. Generator role model. So, I know so much about so many things just because it's my Scorpio mind to do a lot of research. I can't help it. My mind is always hungry, you know? But it can't, because I've been so much in here where I love to be, you know, most times, not when I'm going through some, but my heart, you know, don't get me wrong, I still felt things, but I was disconnected from knowing how I feel, you know, because I knew that the way I thought and felt about things was completely different from the rest of the world. Immediately, the world made it very apparent that I did not belong, and it caused me to have a fuck you attitude in my life. Like, as soon as I start sensing it, I'm like, I'll shut it down. I'm quick to shut it down now, but I'm finding healthier ways to do it. I don't have to yell. Now, I'll yell when I'm by myself, because the only way I know how to release an energy is to go through it and to express it. And if I don't express it, to me, I feel like that's me turning away from myself, and that's not fair to me. It's not fair to the people that will be in my life either. So it's good that I'm going through this now when nobody's around, because the only person I can hurt really right now is me physically in this space. Energetically, to those who aren't at that level, yeah, it may do some damage, but the ones who are higher than me, well, they know how to keep their peace and disconnect, you know, and do the spiritual hygiene. Which it's so hard for me. My mind moves so freaking fast. It's like it's not my mind sometimes. It's like I'm trying to keep up with somebody else's mind. And it's taken me a long time in this life to understand how my mind works, because everyone else projected a perception that I was crazy, or I was too emotional. I got told that a lot. I got told to shut the fuck up a lot in my life, because trauma does that. When trauma happens, trauma, like, it's just like, it's a natural response. And then when you shut that down, you shut the person down who you're hurting already to begin with. That's toxic narcissism. That's unhealed trauma from them, you know? But in the family, it passes down, and they call them black sheeps or generational curse breakers. There's always that one the family just absolutely cannot abide with, because it questions everything they know, and that scares them. I see that now. But it's hard for me to remember that sometimes, because I feel so deeply. I feel my emotions, and I feel the energies coming from other people. It becomes overwhelming. I can't be around people for too long in the state that I am, because my mind's moving at a million miles an hour, and then I'm feeling not just my own stuff and trying to process what's going on in here, but then trying to deal with the things I'm feeling from my environment, and it's sometimes it becomes overwhelming and scary, and I make decisions that aren't healthy, for myself or others. But guess what? Today I know myself more than I did a couple months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, and so on and so forth. It just really is a testament to how strong and resilient I am. But now, it's so hard, because that's all I've ever known, to step back and ebb and receive from me, and just like protect my energy. I've not known how to do that, and I just like boundaries, I didn't know them for a long time in my life, because I was never shown them, I was never given them. I was, just like somebody like you guys. Now I'm starting to understand why it's important not to give your energy away so freely to people, because if they don't do it for themselves, what do you think? They're just gonna fucking waste the pearl that was given to them, And it was funny. Right before I went over to help this person, I'd found a pearl bead the other day on the ground. And I was trying to find a lighter. And what ended up happening is that pearl fell on the ground. And immediately a download came in. And it said, "Do not cast your pearls to the swine." And I was like, and I was in a rush and trying to get over there to help him. And I was like, shit, are you telling me not to like help him? And it wasn't that. I only learned it after I went through the stupid shit that I went through yesterday. That it was, if they don't receive it, it's not that they can't. They can't. Just depending on where they are in their self, where. Anyway, but I was like, okay, do not cast unasked for wisdom to people, even if I care about people, because it's wasted energy. If they truly cared, they would ask, like I ask myself, how I do my deep dives and communicate with my environment, if they, it's like the difference between being a teacher and what would they call that? A tyrant. Because that can be considered being a tyrant, trying to push your views and everything that you've learned onto other people, because you see that how they're operating is a lot like how you operated, and you see how it's hurting them. So naturally you want to help, but when they reject it and they just keep rejecting it, I'm starting to get to the point where it's just like, okay, that's the healthy time to shut up, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that they're not ready to receive that information. But I also get so excited because I've never known so much about so much in my entire life, that I just feel that this confidence and this need to express. And my solar plexus and my throat chakra are highly activated right now. I told him, he was talking about his friends, he gets in these loops about how everyone's always done him wrong and this, that, and the other. I was like, why do you always stay in that loop, bro? I was like, they're not even around. Why? And I was like, I'm telling you one thing: if they are what you're saying they are, and they get around me, don't bring them around me. I tear them apart. You don't tear down people and manipulate people in front of me, because you will hear about it. Me and you will not separate. Before you leave my presence, you will know how I feel about how you're behaving. And I still have unhealed shit too. So if you come at me in any kind of twisted, distorted way and aggressive about it, I know how to reflect and amplify. So it can get kind of toxic sometimes, but I've learned the difference, not how to be aggressive and how to speak, how to be aggressive without being aggressive, you know? And that intimidates a lot of people because they're not used to that. They're like, he's being aggressive in a very, how would I say that? In a very soft way. And so it kind of scares people, like when they really piss me off and I raise my voice and I yell and I shut it down, and they're just kind of like, you know, and then I feel bad, but it's just like, no, fuck you, you elicited that, you had that one coming, because I kept on setting boundary after boundary after boundary, and it's just like, but anyway, I came on here because even after the fuckery yesterday, it led into today. I couldn't go back over there to help him because I was in so much pain. And I knew that it was spiritual because I went to go do my workouts, and my workouts weren't hurting me in that back area. But as soon as I stopped, you know, I felt the pain. So I was just like, okay, is this... And that led me to go down the rabbit holes of deciphering the information, putting it all together and figuring out, and then applying it to my future moves. But anyway, this is what, 32:10 on the clock, and I don't think I really have much more to say, except I do want to apologize for my behavior these last 2 weeks. I've been in a kind of chaotic energy, and I was processing a lot, and it caused me to, I wasn't getting sleep, and it caused me to retaliate. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I was going through a lot, and I was wrong in some of the things I said. I shouldn't have been so ruthless. But, and I want to thank you guys for not holding it against me. Man, I just don't know sometimes. Well, and he's got like 16 cats over there in his house. Well, one of them's a mama. She has 4 kittens. One of them died. And I was just kind of like judging the situation. He's like, I gotta find a way to get rid of these cats. And I was like, I'll take the mama and the 4 kittens. I was like, I'll raise the kittens until they're old enough and able to separate from their mother, and the mother not experience any kind of anxiety, separation anxiety. Then I'll probably get a male cat for her partner, let her have another litter, then I'll fix them after that. Because I want her to have a litter with her new, her counterpart that's going to be living with us. Before she gets fixed, even though, because what it is, you should allow a female to have a litter at least once before you fix them. Otherwise, they become depressed and lethargic. Moms need to be moms. Females need, eventually, they embody that naturally. If they don't get to express it, doesn't that make sense? So, the cats were just in a state of anxiety. Their eyes were like this when I got over there, And by the time I left, they were like all cheek-eyed and zen. And I was like, wow, I really do have that energetic effect. And I was just like, I was just so moved by the energy I felt between me and the kittens and the cats. And at one point in time, I almost had a panic attack because the kittens started crying. And it was in a, and I had to figure out where it was, and he had put them in the pet cage, and I was like, without their mom, and I immediately was like, ah, oh no, are you okay? I was, I, I was like, are you? I was afraid they were gonna die, you know. I was like, you can't keep them away from their mother. And it was mewing and mewing and shaking, and like I was like, oh my god, it's malnutritioned. Like it was like this, the intensity behind its mews were just hit me to the core. It shook me, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, well, I don't want to touch it and get my scent on it, and then like the mom rejected it, and I was like, I don't know how old they are, but I knew I had to move. There was no water, there was no food in there, like it was just and there was no blankets. It was just the kid, you know. And I was just like, ah, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? And I was just like, whoa, calm down. I went and grabbed a soft sweater. I picked up the kitten, got it warm because if it was shaking and hasn't been nutritioned, it had low body heat, so it needed something warm, like their mother. And that's when I discovered there were 3 more kittens in there. So I grabbed another and put it in there. Then the mama got in there. I got a bowl of water and I put it in there and wedged it up against everything so the kittens wouldn't get wet, but it was right next to the mama. And she looked at me with the most endearing eyes, and she tipped her head down and took a couple of licks, and she said thank you with her eyes. And I was just like, whoa, I really have come a long way, because I wasn't able to do that, you know, in my life. I wasn't able to perceive those inner I could perceive in a negative way, but not in a loving and an emotional way. And right then and there, I decided, I was like, they're coming with me, you know? So I actually didn't plan on getting cats for a couple more months, just because I wanted to do some traveling, but I feel moved, you know, and it's just like, and the bond is already there, so it's really cool. And I was like, I can get them some climbing towers, you know, and of course kitty litter box, and they can have their little catnip times, and I get a little laser pointer and some Mazzy toys, and they won't be by themselves. I'll never get just one cat, because I need to be able to leave my domicile and know that they're not going to have separation anxiety and be depressed. Right? And so it troubles me not at all to have 2 cats. You know, I'm going to have 5 cats initially, but for 2 months? And then find homes for the kittens. And right after that happens, well, I'll probably bond with the mother for a little longer before I take her, you know, to the pound or wherever to go find a male cat that I see that she interacts in a healthy way with, you know. So that's just my logic behind it. But I was just like, and it felt so good about it. I was like, it just felt, she felt like family, you know. When we bonded like that, it's just like, I really am healing. And I was like, that's beautiful, you know. I was moved yesterday, even though it was such a chaotic day. But anyways, I'll stop talking. Much love. Talk to you guys later. And yeah. Peace.